It's Sunday. It's motivating the motivator. How are you today, everyone? Happy Sunday. Happy day to get inspired and motivated. Welcome to this experience, the experience that hopefully gets you all motivated, inspired, and to feel like extra, extra good about yourselves. Oh my gosh, she came in early. She's so good. Hold on. Our guest today is coming in. I will say a happy Sunday. Right there she goes. Oh, you got your hair off to the side too.
Hey.
Right? I look, I'm all tongue tied. Hi, sweetie. How are you?
I'm great. Great Sunday morning.
No, it is. Where she is, it's Sunday morning. We're going to get into all of that because right now it's Sunday. I think it might be raining, but we won't get into that right now. So, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. It's Motivating the Motivator. Today I'm here with Barb Brown, my love. Hey, girl. Today we're going to be talking, well, anything that comes out of Barb's mouth is truth and raw and real. So everything we say will be that. You know that's the truth.
Okay. Okay.
This is what I do. This is what I do. I just speak truth, right? So we this is my one of my yogi sisters, and this is how we met. I'm going to let everybody know how we met first and foremost. There was an event going on in New York. Little Yogi J was putting it on, and you wrote, Barb, "Oh, I wish I could be there. I'm not in the country." And I was like, "Oh, when you go, I live in Belize," and I wrote back. I'm like, "Get out of here! I'm going to be in Belize in December." And then it just started, and here we are. Just
Yep, it just took off from there.
being in those groups is really lovely. That's how I get to meet a lot of wonderful women. Um, and our group is Black Girl Pilates, so that's just one thing. And then there's all this other stuff. So
Yeah, and then you came to Belize with your group. How long were you here?
6 days, 6 days. Because
Okay.
for yeah,
Yep.
6 days, and then we were there for New Year's Eve, which was lovely.
Yeah, I think that one of the cool parts about you coming was connecting with another retreat leader and someone else, another Black woman who was working in the wellness space, and being able to experience you and what you had going on down here in Belize where I am. It's kind of like a check-in moment. So it was really good to have you here. And then we had a good time too. New Year's. That was a good time.
Fun. My group had an
Yeah.
awesome time, everybody. Me and Barb, we um,
Yeah.
it was really nice to be there. So she had, I don't know, should I say you wear a couple of hats, or let me just run a couple of things down. Yes, she's a motivational speaker. Um, she runs retreats, as she said. I don't know now. Do we call this other one a retreat? You help people who feel they want to relocate to Belize.
Well, not necessarily just relocating. I have that niche, but really people who are moving through life transformation and whatever that looks like. And for me, most recently, it included a relocation. But for people who followed me or who I've worked with over the years, last 8 or 12 years, they've probably watched me reinvent myself and based on the environment and the circumstances going on in my personal life, professional life, political environment, community space, and then shift gears. And so the retreats mimic that. And the retreats provide that space for women to work on those transformational opportunities that they're faced with right now. Yep.
That was good. There's a lot of
Okay.
this. There's a lot of stuff going on right now for people to get
Yeah.
into.
Oh my
So
goodness. Yeah.
let's get into a little deeper. So who is Barb Brown? Oh, wait, what are you drinking first? Oh, ginger.
Diet ginger beer.
It is.
Diet ginger beer. That's like so boring for. Just kidding.
It's
I
good
don't know.
ginger beer, though. That's some good ginger beer, though.
It is. I'm gonna turn it around to something else after this. We're gonna see. So you say, who is Barb Brown? That's funny. I don't know if anybody has ever really asked me that in a straightforward way. Usually they want to know one particular thing, like what are you doing, or are you married, or whatever, but to ask me who I am, that's deep, right? So I'm gonna just sit in it for a second. So let me just tell you where I've been, and maybe because where I've been really shapes who I am, right? And some of my life experiences, and quite honestly, I had a conversation with myself this morning. I think I landed on feminist. How ironic is that? I said I was a feminist to myself a while ago, but grew up in D.C., in the nation's capital. Went to public school there. Um, you know, Raised by a single mom. Dad was a military vet who had served in Vietnam. Raised also by my grandmother, too, who was really a huge influence in my life while my mother was out doing what she needed to do for herself and to take care of me and my sisters. My grandmother, who was from the South, Georgia, was really instrumental in my life. And I try and honor her in many ways in my life today. So grew up in D.C., went to college in D.C., was very fortunate to have an opportunity to go to American University, and got a degree in journalism. Came out of AU the fall after I graduated. I got married. I was already working in my new job. I mean, it was just like, going. And just really embraced adulthood and everything that it had to offer me. And, was a young 20-something-year-old just interested in trying out life. And, I did. And I've always kind of had that mindset. Growing up in DC was not easy, but it was still great. And, I had all those experiences that propelled me to want to do more for myself. So I'm very fortunate in that way. And had great jobs along the way. At one point during my marriage, decided with my ex-husband that, I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. So I had a really great opportunity to raise my children myself when they were young. And then also start my own business. And I've started many businesses, more businesses than most people have. I've had some fits and starts. I had some great successes. And I'm talking a time period that spans maybe 15 to 17 years. And over the course of time, I've started projects, I've started partnerships, I've held employment positions in corporate America and nonprofit. So just a real full life experience in the U.S., right? And coming out of D.C., that was Chocolate City when I did get married, moved to, Maryland suburbs, typical, right? That's what everybody does. And life happens.
Yes, it does.
In the midst of all of that, right? That path of all the successes that I've had, I've experienced trauma along the way. I've been in abusive relationships. I am part of the Me Too movement. I have lots of stories about toxic work environments and and what are they calling these days? Unconscious bias. There's a name for everything. so, it's just like all of that, plus daily living. I have two boys from my marriage. I got married at 21. I was divorced by 31. But I have two great kids who are, living their lives right now. They're still in the States. And while I'm living my life, I'm raising them and doing things as a single mom. I've spent the last 15 years 17 years as a single mom. The years catch up to you. So, I have those experiences too. I'm not saying it's been a life full of roses, but every single experience has shaped who I am. And so I think that is the answer to your question. I'm dynamic, I guess, in that way. But at the end of the day, what makes me me is the people who I'm around. And I really, while I'm not out in the face of the public as much as I would like to be, the people who I interact in very small ways, I believe in small group interactions, are really the influencers on me.
Nice.
Yeah.
You are the
Yeah.
sum of all parts. You are the sum of all of your experiences and made you the dynamic self you are today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've mentioned, that was your experience in the States because you live in Belize.
Yeah.
A lot of us have had this, and I have had this conversation with you. It's like, I want to move. I want to get out. I want to go to another country. And then you meet people who actually did that.
Yeah.
Where you said, I'm going to do this. So let's talk about why Belize, or you came to Belize, why, and the process. Because one thing that you're very honest about is it's like you can't just be like, oh, I just want to go, and then you pick up and go. Like there's a process you got to go through.
It is. And when I deciding to move to Belize was not the first time that I wanted to move. And so I kind of want to start there. I had thought on several other occasions in my life that I wanted to live somewhere else. And, felt like I was done with DC long time ago, the DC area long time ago. But for whatever reason, the people around me or the circumstances around me or my priorities at those times convinced me to stay. People would say things like, "Oh, how you gonna leave and you don't have a support system? You're just gonna take your kids and up and move somewhere else." There was always some reason why not to, right? And so, I kind of got to the point where enough was enough, and I was just ready, right? And I've always wanted to live and explore the world, see other communities. My business endeavors nowadays, and probably for the last few projects, have all been focused on social entrepreneurship. And I can talk about that later. But it was just important to me that whatever business or companies I was working with, that there was some ties to the community. And so that's one side of it. Right. The other side of it was that I was done with the rat race. And even if I was going to do business, on one hand, I wanted to work at my own pace and I wanted to make my own decisions. And so for me, that meant exiting, because in the U.S., the whole status quo, the mindset doesn't allow you to do that so well. Right.
We are.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And then, and in all of the success that I had, I also was having some health challenges, and I very much wanted to just allow my body to reset. That's one of the principles that I talk about in the transformation workshops, is the need to be in touch with what your body needs physically and give it to yourself. And so coming to a place in an environment, a geographical destination such as the tropics, where Belize is, it's like, okay, that makes sense. So I knew that, you know, I had gone through a few things in my life. About 2016 through 2018 was kind of a pivotal 2-year phase in my life from a career standpoint, from a parenting standpoint. I just knew this was it, right? This was the time, past all those other 3 moments that I had where I decided not to move. This was it. My kids were teenagers. The rules of the game were just different. And I knew that in order to take my family further, I had to take myself further. So Belize, okay. So I knew I was moving. Go ahead.
That's really important for
Yeah.
especially moms, but people, women, to really understand that part, that you were like, nothing can go further until you are good.
Right.
Until you
Yeah.
that all that makes who you are is solidified. And too many times
Yeah.
we don't understand that is really important. It's not selfish. It's actually better for everybody in your family and everybody around you if you take a moment to not just know it, but do something about it.
Right, right. And so the destination was just part of the equation. And for me, it was, I don't want to say a small part of the equation, but it was not as big as the actual process of changing my priorities and moving outside of that daily practice and routine that I had developed over the last 15 years of the rat race. How do you back out of that, right? That has to be the desire of the move versus the destination of the move. Unless you're just interested in cultures and destinations and traveling, because people do it for different reasons. But in terms of life transformation, it's like what's in your heart and what's at your core. And really that's what I was, asking myself at that time. And for me, because I had so many opportunities to do it before and had never taken it, I'm like, okay, this is my chance to pivot. I really do have an opportunity. And honestly, when the opportunity came, I did go kicking and screaming a little bit. When I do my motivational talks, I talk a lot about grieving my career. Because I had a really, really good career. And I loved my work up until a certain point. When I saw some things, I participated in some things that I didn't really like anymore. And just because of how I got to where I was, there was no turning back. So I just kind of had to make a decision to just let it go. And so there was a grieving process with that too. It's just like, okay, I can do what I did for these other businesses for myself, no problem. But if you asked me 5 years ago who I am, I probably would have started off with, oh, I'm a public relations executive and, I guide business. You right? So anyway.
What you do, not who you are.
Exactly. So, yeah. Right. So I had, started this peeling back process even before I had landed on Belize. And I tell people all the time, they say, why did you choose Belize? And I say, well, no, Belize chose me because I knew that I wanted to move away and I wanted to do things differently. And I needed it to be drastic change. I needed it to be opposite of what I was doing before. I really wanted to just move at a glacial pace, right? Like Miranda Priestley says, the devil wears Prada, move at a glacial pace, why don't you, right? So I want to have a slow breakfast, right? I want to chew my food slow. I want to sip my coffee and I want to smell the aroma of it. I don't want to be almost spilling it in my lap driving down 495 express lanes, getting, clenching my butt cheeks because I'm avoiding a car accident every 10 minutes. I'm just saying. So on one hand, it's like the trauma of traffic every day, right?
It is real.
Do you think about that? Do we think about that? And those are big words, the trauma of traffic, and it seems over,
Yeah.
overemphasized. But some little small things like that add up after a while,
It really
right?
do.
Um,
Really do.
yeah,
It wears on
yeah, right.
you.
Right. And then, I think, so I talk about the grief of my career in my talks. I also talk about code switching. And so the whole, phenomena of how that shows up, not only in language, but in behavior, particularly in the workplace and social settings, for people of color. And, as part of peeling back the layers, I just decided I was also done fucking code switching. Like wherever I was going to be and spend my time, whoever was going to get the best of me had to want to take all of me.
You. Yes.
All of me. The way that, like I'm going to show up. My hair is going to be how it grows out of my head. I'm not going to have to manipulate my body physically. I'm not going to have to manipulate my mind, mentally to be accepted, to be successful. So what I was talking about for myself when I wanted to relocate was a game changer for me in terms of authenticity and self-acceptance. It was like wherever I was going to be, I had to just be able to be myself, and so I got an email from a girlfriend one day, and she was kind of having a fed up moment at her job. And she was like, I don't know whether she was just joking or she had found something. Maybe she sent me a link to a property, a retirement property, but she sent me an email. She was like, hey, we should just all escape to Belize. And I'm like, yo, the last 8 months I have been reflecting and taking notes, and I'm like, she is saying something,
Yeah.
right? Not only she's saying something to me, this change management, person. And so I'm like, okay, Belize. So things just started moving after that. And so for me, I mean, I made a list. I'm a business consultant, so I did the analysis. I looked globally. I looked internally. I looked at my family. I knew, people weren't going to really be on board with this, but it didn't matter to me. I looked at a couple different places, Panama, Guatemala. I didn't look in Africa and I didn't look in Europe because I just didn't want to be that far initially. I am going further away, but initially I just wanted to be like within a half a day or less access to my kids who were still in high school because I wasn't bringing them with me, which is a whole different story. It's a whole different story.
Okay. So that is a whole different story. That's pretty good, man.
So that's how Belize ended up on my list. I don't know if I would have found it otherwise, but it worked for me because it calls itself a developing country, but I still believe it's third world. But as a developing country, it presented an opportunity where there's a smaller population, it's more rural throughout the country. The environment is more forgiving from a health standpoint. It's, clean air, beach water, my beach, I went to the beach. Like when I needed refuge from everything I was faced with, I would drive to the beach. I would leave work. I would just beach it. Everybody else working from home, I'm at the beach. Bye, y'all. So I knew that wherever I wanted to go or where I would end up, it had to be beach.
Right.
It had to be within a walk or bike ride to a beach. And then I wasn't even, when I started researching Belize, I wasn't even real keen on the whole jungle piece, and here I was, by the way, I had maybe 2 or 3 years prior, I had been involved in a discussion with the World Wildlife Fund about doing some marketing communications for their U.S. Space. And that never panned out. But at that time, WWF was, doing some more work here in the Barrier Reef and things like that. And that was my first introduction to Belize and talking to WWF. So would I have found Belize eventually in terms of a space for myself? Probably. I feel like when people come back around,
Yeah.
And when things show up, that's the universe speaking to you. So, and then the research just began from there. So.
And then here you are.
Yeah, here I am. And that was back in November 2018.
So yeah, it's been a year and a half. So it's been
Yeah.
over a year.
So this November would be 2 years.
Wow. Best movie.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yes, absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
And you are a it's funny. I'll tell everybody, I had a talk with my son on the beach in Belize for New Year's Eve. First of all, I like being able to say that.
Wait, what did we talk about that night? Because, that was New Year's Eve. We saw fireworks.
It was, but we, I think it was, Barbara and I had a lot of chances to talk, but one of our best talks, I think, was on the rooftop, when we had drinks on the rooftop.
Oh, yeah.
And looking over the water, and, I was like, I had been scared because I wanted to move. I wanted to move or have dual residency or dual citizenship, dual something, because I'm here. I'm an American. This is where I am, but I'm drawn elsewhere.
Right.
We're having this conversation. I'm like, and you are so good. By the way, she is very motivational, because I was like, I can't. And then you talk to me, and then I had to talk with my son, and I was like, well, I'm thinking of moving. He was like, bye-bye. So here I am thinking, I have to stay in the States. It's my son. And he was like, bye. Is there a ticket where I can come see you? Will you have space for me to sleep? Like, that's all he was concerned about. So I think a lot of times we stop ourselves. We know what we need. We know it's going to move forward. But then we get so scared of things. I say we because me too. We get so scared of things. And I think that's, for me, one of the reasons why it was so helpful to just be honest with you and talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Because once I said it to you, you were like, let me help you out, sis. And you just laid it on, like, very realistic.
I think what I think helps people the most is when we have an opportunity to assess our belief systems or our beliefs. And it is really the things that we believe about the rules of the game that govern our actions. And, I bring that up because we give ourselves reasons why we cannot. And all those reasons are based in beliefs, right? And so at that time, the biggest reason why I shouldn't have or couldn't have or maybe shouldn't consider moving was because I had teenage children, right? Yeah. And I'm just like,
same thing.
Right. And so certainly I'm not condemning the belief in being a good parent and being by your children's side and guiding them. I'm suggesting that there's multiple beliefs about what feels good and what feels right about parenting, because there is no right or wrong. It's that we're responsive. We're responsive to ourselves. We're responsive to the human beings who we've committed to give life to and guide, right? So my belief had to change about what a family core looked like and what an effective family looked like and a successful family looked like and felt like, and how did love show up within our family, right? That's the real question at the end of the day, right? Is how do the people in my space know and feel that they are loved by me and what we're doing? And it doesn't, the answer to that is not necessarily that we live in the same physical building or in the same physical state or country, right? It's that, I'm not choosing my children's path. I'm supposed to just give them the tools that they need to be successful on the path, right? And so that can be done with technology. It's different ways. And let's not get it twisted. People lived apart for ages before technology.
Yeah, they did.
So of course I could do it, and of course it could be great. Now, I mean, were there days along the way that I said to myself, I never would have guessed that, or, yeah, those days came, but I think I'm better because those, moments, right? So yeah, the belief is the first principle, I would say, and the knowing what it is that you want out of it for yourself.
Right.
All the little details, they don't matter. You can research cost of living. You can research buying versus renting. You can research crime statistics, education, dating. I mean, it is what it is, and it's people, places, economies, industries, cultures, religion, and politics. No matter how you slice it, right? But the reason and the belief behind the reason is really what's going to govern why you should or shouldn't and how you approach it. And you got to kind of, the acceptance piece too, I would say, is on top of that. So at the end of the day, I knew that, hey, I could go to Belize and I could make it what I wanted, or I could get there and decide it doesn't feel right. I want to either go back or go someplace new. And that's just how I looked at it. I'm also a person who's comfortable with change. And so I don't want to be so cavalier about it as if there's like no anxiety about it. So, I mean, I have anxiety about all kinds of things on a day-to-day basis, but the idea of something new, because I grew up with being constantly presented with new environments, new people, new schools, new. So I'm okay with change. I'm like, all right, what is it? What do we need to do to, I'm like, bring it here. Let me break it down. What are the challenges? What are the barriers? Who do we need to talk to? So I have a real pragmatic way, me personally. I recognize that not everyone is like that. And so that's also some of the work that I do in the retreats is like, how do you coach people through that? And so for some, it is a process, of mentality and then project management for your personal life, goal setting, organization, minimalization. I was on vacation a few years ago with my kids, which is kind of like my favorite thing to do now. Don't tell them that. And we were in some little gift shop, and I picked up a tally stone that had the word simplified carved into it.
I have a stone like that.
It just simplified, and I bought it was like maybe $3.
Yeah.
And I carried around that stone for a few years. And so I started to adapt these simplification principles along the way. And I became a minimalist. I started to throw things out and clear out the clutter. And so when I started to declutter my space, I started to declutter my day-to-day activities, my declutter the people, everything. Moving became easy because my life fits in 4 suitcases. I think I told you this.
Yes, you did. You were like, I
4 suitcases.
Oh boy.
And honestly, if you asked me, I wouldn't be heartbroken if I had to leave any of those suitcases behind anywhere. Like I honestly think I could get it down to a backpack.
Backpack. And honey, every time I travel, everyone's like, wait, you're going away for a week and you only have a backpack? I'm like, yeah, we're talking minimalism. Every time I go away, I come back with yet a renewed sense of that stone that I bought. And I bought it on the vineyard like
Yeah.
a while ago, and it was just
Yeah.
simplified. And I've had that for so long, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying. But when I'm always reminded of it when I go somewhere else, and
Yep.
actually,
Yep. That's where I got it too. I didn't
everyone's
say we were vacationing, but that's where I got it too. I bet you it's from the same store.
um, wait, really? On the
Yeah,
vineyard?
yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
see,
Right.
and it simplified is so that word is so powerful.
Yeah.
You embody that though. Because it's so funny. The levels of success, everyone defines their level of success, obviously. So when you think of simplifying, for me, that is my ultimate level of success, to be happy in my simplification. And I'm telling you, having talks with you, it didn't hurt that we were having talks looking out on the ocean. That
Right, right.
all, but having talked with you, it really helped. It brought a lot, all these things I had been learning from all my travels, from my whole life, because I've always traveled, whether it's by car, plane, whatever. But in the past 5 years, my travels have really intensified because I got a purpose. And you
Yeah.
kind of, for me, especially because you were my last trip was Belize. I can't go anywhere this year.
Oh,
So,
wow. That's
yeah,
right.
so, you already had a lasting effect on me, but just the way you were able to speak to me and just you don't tell people what to do, you help them to pull it out of what they've already got.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that.
That's what you did for me, having those
Yeah.
talks. You
Yeah.
have a knack for doing them.
That's
Bye. Bye.
yeah. Hey.
So let's talk about so Belize, your retreats. Let's dig into your retreats. Hey Debbie. Debbie popped in. So let's talk about your retreats and what you do. So she retreats, but you do a couple of things. So let's talk about the types of retreats that you do.
Yeah, so She Retreats is the business entity that executes and curates the retreat experience. So I have my passion projects, my personal endeavors that related to women's empowerment and life transformation, which I run through the Reboot My Life Foundation. So whenever I do workshops or even I'm serving as a retreat leader, I'm executing from the Reboot My Life Foundation mission standpoint of helping women be more empowered to live through life transformation in a more successful way. She Retreats is the business entity that executes that, and it does a couple of things. One, it supports women women-backed or women-owned businesses, and the Control Alt Delete retreat is the premier retreat that's offered through She Retreats. So that's the one thing that it does. The other thing that She Retreats does is help small businesses create depth around their service offering. People such as like yourself or other life coaches, therapists, yoga instructors, people who do breath work, physical fitness leaders, even other business leaders. Where could I go? I could even take this to cybersecurity, but I show them a way to add the retreat experience to their product offering to bring their customers in closer. So that's the other side. It's like, okay, I can't totally walk away from my life of business development and everything. And so I've coached, leaders, up to the most senior level of U.S. government. So it's just like, that's just what I do. I got to do it until it's completely out of my system. So I incorporated both of those there. And so She Retreats was a natural setup for Belize. So it's just like the first retreat was not under the She Retreat umbrella. It was just Reboot My Life Foundation, and it was in the States, and it was a small group environment. And it was self-funded. She Retreats is just the monetization of that, that community endeavor. But we did it in the first 6 in the States, and She Retreats is like, I'm moving to Belize. Okay. So She Retreats is going to Belize.
Right.
Is really what it was. So we had done the retreats in the States. And it's just like, okay, if this is really what I'm pursuing, if this is really what I'm believing in, we're going to expose as many people to it at the same time that I'm being exposed to it. So I was kind of like the advanced team, if you will. And so, setting up operations here in Belize was just like, it kind of made my move all the more interesting. It's like, okay, now I have purpose here. Before it was, just kind of my own selfish desire, whatever. Okay, but now I have purpose here, and it goes a little bit further than that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if someone signs up for your retreat, what do they do? What are we doing on your retreats?
Wow. So it's different every time. I do want to say that, and it's different every time because the participants are different every time, and the leaders are different every time. And so I have a theme or a concept that I'm molding the retreat around. So whatever is being promoted is the core of it, but the delivery changes based on who shows up. And so what I mean by that is, so in the Control Alt Delete environment, the baseline of that retreat is accountability partners. When you come to Control Alt Delete, you get an accountability partner. That person is going to experience the retreat with you. That's going to be your support person there, who at the end of the day you can just get in a corner and you can talk to, or that's your accountability partner. And that's who you check in with post-retreat, because the retreat experience doesn't end when you get on the airplane. It's a life experience. And so accountability, goal setting, and sharing are kind of the baseline of that. So they get that, and that's, I think, has been the most valuable piece for the participants. They get that, and that's shaped around their personal experiences. So I've interviewed everybody who's coming. I've interviewed them maybe twice prior to them coming on board. And I create a confidential dossier of every participant that is shared in confidence with the retreat leaders, with if it's the coach or the therapist, and we really talk about what each participant is experiencing at that point in their life, and what they hope to be moving towards next, and what their needs are. And we really create the workshops and the agenda of the workshops based on what we know people are looking for. So we bring in a different type of activity or different resource, or we have done switch ups in real time to support people and their need. But really, when I say curated experience, that's what I mean by curated experience. Okay. On the other end of that, there's some specific things that we know that we're going to deliver. So there's going to be some type of physical movement. Getting up and moving your body, and opportunity to do that every day. Whether you opt in or opt out is up to you, but we're going to have that available and encourage everybody to participate. And usually people do. I haven't had any have opted out fully of that. And it's yoga, or it's access to whatever. That last retreat, we went kayaking, we went to the waterfalls, swimming, and we did yoga. I think we did three yoga classes. We did over outside yoga, sunset. We did aerial hammocks. I think we did another one. We just mixed it up. In our jungle retreat, we did cave tubing as the physical activity, and it was more relaxing than anything. It was probably the most beautiful thing here in Belize. So that's included, and the workshop environments. And maybe I got to come up with another name from workshops. Workshops sound so dry and sterile and everything. And then you don't want to call it
some workout workshop name. Like using the word
right.
To come if it says work. in the
I
park.
know, yeah. So it's, it's not, I don't know, but it is a little bit of work, but then it's like, it's purposeful.
Right.
So there's, we have, depending on the number of days of the retreat, so we'll do a 1 day experiences, 3 day experiences, 5 day experiences, and 10 day experiences. And so depending on the number of days dictates the number of workshops. And so we want people to have time to explore, time to adventure, time to relax. And so we, mix it up a little bit that way. So that's what they'll get. And it's always I'm doing the hosting, but I'm not necessarily doing the leading the workshops and the sessions. So I used to. I'm moving more away from that now and bringing in other experts and other facilitators in particular areas. So the next one I'm bringing in is an expert. Her name is Lynn Mcnair, and she's a restorative justice expert who happens to be a teacher. Yeah, she's restorative justice, and I feel like this is so critical for us right now. And so she's going to be leading a peacemaking circle during our next retreat. And if people aren't familiar with restorative justice or peacemaking, it's really an opportunity for you to reflect on experiences that were harmful to you in your past and how they have impacted you in your judgment or your life today and how it shows up in your ability to make decisions and be comfortable in relationships. And she's going to guide us through some really good activities to do that. It's just like we are, whether we realize it or not, we're all kind of traumatized by what's going on right now. Whether it's, past is past, whether it's yesterday past or years past, right? There's things that instantly like that change you on a molecular level because of our human responses to those incidences, whether they're small little infractions in the workplace or whether or not you got arrested and you sat on the curb for 3 hours in handcuffs getting sunburn on the back of your neck, which I experienced in Ocean City, Maryland years ago, which is why I'm referring to it.
Wow.
I'm just saying, so every little thing, every little slight, every little touch, and, that we experience over time can add up, and then they got abused. I mean, who knows what it is, but we're bringing her in, and I'm glad that she's going to be joining us, and so that retreat is going to be deep, right? Because people are going to have a moment in time where they can really just explore and sit in the moment, right? Just sit in that moment for a minute.
Yeah. And it's funny, I'm doing a retreat to the Maldives around the same. I'm partnered with the psychotherapist.
Wait, when is that? When is that on the calendar?
That is August next year.
Okay. Okay, so a year from today.
So you coming to that, right?
Mm-hmm. All you had to say was Maldives.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's always, my back was like, wow, this is a once in a lifetime thing. When I was leaving, I was like, screw that. This is not a once in a lifetime. I'm going back.
Right.
I can do that. I'm going to go back. So yeah.
I'm there. That's all I need is the invitation. I'm there.
Oh,
Yeah.
You are there. So just really quick, because oh my God, we have a lot of time. So I want to just mention really quick your take on, because you have worked in corporate, you are an entrepreneur, you work for not-for-profits. Just really quick, give your take on your versus entrepreneurship versus corporate America versus profit, not-for-profit. Just what do you feel was your takeaway from each? What negative, positive, whichever one?
Wow. So, business owner. Like, I'm gonna start there because I feel like that's just what's in me. That's in my blood. I'm always happiest when I'm creating or whatever. So my takeaway from business ownership, if I had to share that with somebody, is that there's a certain satisfaction that comes with pursuing your own, whether or not you see it as yourself doing well or not, and creating a space for yourself in this big old place, called planet Earth, right? And so, with business, it requires a certain amount of fortitude, right, and a certain amount of stick-to-itiveness. You have to have the wherewithal and understanding, that you don't know it all, you don't have all the answers, and that your network is always more valuable than you. And being smart enough to know not to ever invest your own money in business, um, and to be money smart, and so those have been my takeaways. And how many businesses and companies have I had over the years? I think I'm on 10 or 12 or something like that. I've owned franchises, I've sold companies, I've had small concession stands, I've had consulting ventures, and some of them have spanned many years, some of them have been short. I've done real estate investing. So business is probably what I hope everyone can appreciate as a way to grow and support themselves. Corporate America, whew.
Uh-oh.
No.
She froze on corporate.
So listen, everything has its place in the purpose in the universe.
Definitely. Most definitely.
Yes, and there's some goodness there somewhere. there is.
Corporate isn't for everybody. So you've just done it all, though.
So if I had to go, I'm not ever going to work a 9-to-5 job ever again. We know this, like this, not ever again. Yeah. So, but if I had to, it would be in the nonprofit or NGO space. It would be. So, the work I did, and I'm watching the time too, the work I did in nonprofit has always been valuable, whether it's for, I'm not even going to say who it's for, but just the different organizations and the things that I've been able to do in helping communities is always rewarding. It doesn't pay well, but I think, always ask yourself why you're doing the things that you're doing. My sister said to me one day, I've had different job opportunities, and in trying to decide which job to take one day, she said to me, and I don't think I took her advice this time, but I will if I had it again. She said to me, don't ever take a job because of the amount of pay. And because at the end of the day, no one can ever pay you for what you're worth. And you'll be trading your time for dollars every single day. And so you have to, if you decide to work a job, whether it's corporate America or nonprofit, it has to be something that you like. It should be something that you like. And I mean, that's a privilege to have that choice to begin with. And I don't take it lightly, but when you're presented with an opportunity and that choice exists within a job, that's the way that I would go. So that's why I would, choose nonprofit if I found myself back in that space again, regardless of the pay. I mean, there's ways to make money, right? And then at the end of the day, what is your currency? So that's also another consideration in moving to Belize. Like, what is that thing that I'm trading my time for? Is it money? Is it things? And what's most important to me? And it wasn't. So, I don't need to make a lot of money. Some people do need to make a lot of money, but at the same time, there's abundance everywhere, and that money is going to come to me when I need it, and other people need to know money is coming to you when you need it. You will have everything that you need because it's all around us in many ways, and as long as we keep that in mind, that we don't want for anything. So that's my whole take on the the corporate America nonprofit business owner take is wherever you see yourself fitting in. It's you got to follow your heart and then follow your heart some more.
Oh, that's a really good way to end the formal part of this. Follow your heart and then follow your heart some more. By the way, y'all, my heart is really running to Belize. But anyway, um, but we've chatted about some other stuff too. So I am not held into a box. I am not in a box.
Yeah,
Believe
me either.
me, I'm like, you know what if Tanzania looks good next year?
Tanzania looks good. Even some other places, American Samoa might
Yeah,
look good.
that's,
Off the beaten path for me. You know, some people want to be in a big city, in a, more urban set. I'm down for that for a few days.
yeah, I want to be able to get there, but I don't want to be there. Kind of like me,
Yeah,
like, I like being close to New York, but no, I'm good.
yeah. So
So
what else? What else? Did we have any questions? Who came on? Who joined us?
I don't know. My gosh, I'm so
We're
bad.
going to get off of our time.
I know. You know what? We had, well, it was mostly just agreement with you, actually, which is so funny because
Okay.
I wanted to do that. I didn't do, it was
So
because a
it's
lot of
okay.
people just need, but a lot of people just need to hear that it's okay.
It's
You know,
okay.
it's okay.
Mixing things up is okay. Whose rules are they?
We have
Let's
to,
think about that. Whose rules are we living by?
the thing is, obviously do no harm. Um, but my gosh, sometimes when we say do no harm, we are only doing harm to ourselves. And we don't understand that do no harm includes us as well.
Do no harm, comma, take no shit. Period.
This motherfucker be sorry. Wait a minute, really quick. Give me a number between 1 and 8.
3.
2, 3. Okay, so our affirmation for the day is, ooh, this is good for you. I am magic.
Yes, yes, I love it.
So my black girl magic partner. But
I
you
love
are
it. Thank
magic.
you.
So our affirmation for the day is I am magic. You all are all magic. So keep walk with that through the day. You're sparkling. Everybody's sparkling today. You got magic
Yeah,
and that's what that magic is.
I
Yeah.
love it.
I love it. Oh, yes. So thank you so much, love. It's so good to
Thank you for having me. I would love to do this again. We can talk about other stuff like Turkish men.
dating. Oh my God. You know what? We do need to do another one with just dating. Oh my God.
International dating.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, yes. That is fun in itself, my magical love. That
Yes.
is fun.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm glad everyone could join. And if anybody has questions, just hit me up. I'm easy to reach.
So for everyone, when I put this, when I post, just so everyone knows, when I post these things, her information will be in the comments. I should say. So
Okay.
both of her things will be there, and you can message her, you can write her because she is amazing. Thank you. Wonderful real talk. Yes, it was.
Yay. That's
Hey,
awesome. To
awesome.
thine own self be true. That's my mantra. To thine own self be true.
Yeah, and that's how we'll end this. Thank you so
Yep.
much.
All right. Love
And
you,
thank
girl.
you for being real, sweetie. I love you, hon.
All right. Talk soon.
Bye, beautiful. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.